In this video, Naval Ravikant shares one of his genius insights for life and 4 ways to get there. I'm Jordan, I've done over $5 million, hired 50 people. And here is Naval's first insight.
If you're really looking for truth, it's the opposite of looking for social approval.
Seek truth, not social approval. Like Naval once said, if you want to make the wrong decision, ask everyone. But then how do you know you're getting closer to the truth?
Truth requires feedback. It requires error correction. Where does that feedback come from? Well, there are 3 sources of feedback in reality. There's 2 that are very natural and 1 that we've invented in modern times. The 2 that are natural are nature. You know, if I drop an apple, it falls to the ground. There's a truth there of gravity. I can't deny it. That's nature giving me feedback. So as a scientist, physical scientist, I would naturally gravitate towards that truth.
So according to Naval, truth requires error correction, and that there are 3 ways to get this feedback. 2 that are natural, 1 that is invented. And the first place to get feedback from is nature. Like for example, when Elon Musk wants to find out how to grow food on Mars, then he can try to mimic the environment of Mars on Earth. For example, inside a greenhouse with dirt samples from Mars, same cold temperature and thin air. So the people at SpaceX can test their assumptions and get feedback from nature. Then what is the second, perhaps more dangerous way to get feedback?
There's also a truth of social approval, which is if I want to get along with my group, then I can take feedback from people. Like, did you like that? Did you approve of what I did?
So if you want to get along with a group, then you want to seek feedback from people. Like back in school, where let's say you wanted to sit around the cool guys during lunch break, then you will get feedback based on the clothes you wear, whether you have a girlfriend, or if you drink alcohol like the rest of the group. Now, I am not a fan of this second way of getting error corrected, but that doesn't mean it's not true, right? Because the truth is that if I want to be accepted by the cool guys, then I want to seek their feedback. Another example would be this picture tool that I found, where you upload a picture of yourself and people vote how competent, likable and influential they think you look. Of course, you want to get enough data to make a decent conclusion, but hey, if 39 out of 40 people are telling you that your profile picture looks sexy, then there is truth in that to be found. The tool is actually free, and I will put a link below to my Google Sheet with 80 other free tools that I use. And no, they're not sponsored or affiliated. Which brings me to Naval's third way to find truth, which I like better. Listen closely.
And then the one that we've invented as a truth-seeking mechanism is free markets, where in a free market, it's not a mob, it's actually the opposite. The applause comes from the mob, which is a group of people who are thinking the same and trying to coordinate. A free market is where individuals are voting differently, and they're voting on a merit basis, and they're being punished for bad predictions, and they're being rewarded for good predictions. So free markets are also a source of truth-seeking in that, for example, if I think Alphabet is a great stock and I buy it, but I turn out to be wrong, then the truth of the market will punish me as the feedback comes in, and I will lose my money.
So the third way to test what you believe to be true is by using free markets, like freelancers on Fiverr or Upwork, but also sellers on Amazon, eBay, Facebook Marketplace. Even though they're not completely free markets, I hope you get the point. A better example may be the cryptocurrency market. So for example, if you think Bitcoin will increase in price, you will find out and receive feedback from the market. A little bit like this graph. The more you look around, the more you find out. But Naval actually shares a 4th way to get feedback.
So these are sort of the 3 mechanisms you have for getting feedback from the environment. They're not all equal. There's actually a 4th, which is the part of nature, which is just survival. But we break that out into its own thing called evolution, survival of the fittest, right?
Now to explain this one, let's imagine you're an explorer trying to figure out the truth about the world. Then you can use evolution and survival of the fittest to get feedback on what you think is true. Like a zebra that is too slow and gets caught by a lion. To make it more clear, let's say you have the idea that using a hoodie in the rain will prevent you from getting wet. Then just like that zebra, your idea dies if nature shows you still get wet. So over time, only your fittest ideas survive, like wearing a raincoat when it rains. But then which out of these 4 ways may you use to find the truth about the things that you really care about?
The natural truth-seeking mechanisms will lead you to truth. The social one will lead you to social approval, but it will not lead you to truth. It can lead you into all kinds of dead ends. And unfortunately, most people not only get their feedback from there, they actually get their theories from there. So that's what I call the difference between reasoning from first principles versus reasoning by proxy. If you're reasoning from first principles, which is what you should do for things that you really care about, then you would examine the truth of the statement for yourself. yourself, you would be skeptical, you would test it, and then if it turns out to be true, you would know that because you get feedback from the right places.
And if you paid close attention, you heard Naval saying this.
Unfortunately, most people not only get their feedback from there, they actually get their theories from there.
I found this very interesting because honestly, a lot of my ideas come from other people, not from first principles. Like if I hear Mr. Beast telling me that you should do this in your thumbnail, then I can test it in the somewhat free market called YouTube. Now I don't think that is bad, because honestly, what is nature or first principles going to tell me about thumbnails? So I just think that it depends on the area of the idea. For example, if Elon Musk wants to come up with good ideas of how to bring, let's say, 250,000 tons to Mars, then ideas coming from first principles probably serve him better than ideas found on X, podcasts, or books. But what trap should we avoid when it comes to feedback on any idea?
But if you're getting your feedback from other people, you're usually going to end up with the wrong answer. So examples of this are like there are entire professions where all your feedback comes from other people. Politics is a prime example of that. Anything political, social sciences. I'm deeply suspicious of anything that starts with the word social. Social sciences, socialism, social engineering, social justice, you name it, because this is all about groupthink. So it's not a mechanism for truth, it's a mechanism for coordination or cooperation. Often it means we're going to beat the truth into you, or you better get along with us and our truth or else.
But then does this mean that also groups of, let's say, 5 serious people who really care about finding the truth, that they also end up with ideas that are not true?
I'm deeply suspicious of groups of people coming to the truth in anything, because it's not to say groups are bad. Humans are cooperators by nature. We need groups to get things done, but groups need consensus. A group that does not have consensus will fall apart. So a group will not admit its mistakes. It will not admit that it was wrong. It will not pivot. It's not a truth-seeking entity.
I do see a lot of truth in this, but it doesn't really answer my question, which was, is there nuance? Like, for example, if I were to meet up with 5 serious people who, for example, watch this video and really care about the truth, then would we really end up with consensus, with untruth? I don't think so, but I'm not certain, as I've not really tested it yet. What I have tested a lot is getting into the flow state more often. Basically increase my focus and amount of deep work by simply being smarter with these 3 building blocks. And if you also care about spending more of your life in flow state, then watch this video. Talk soon.